Hey guys, this is Vadim with Max Tech, and both my brother Max, the other host of this channel, and I have been using the iPhone 12 Pro Max for over a month, and we now have a good amount of experience with it. So in this video, I want to share the top 10 problems that we've noticed after using the 12 Pro Max for a month, and I'll give you some very interesting conclusions and purchasing advice at the end of this video. Now, before I begin, I do want to mention that for Max, his biggest concern was the larger size of the Pro Max, and he was actually considering buying the regular 12 Pro instead. But because of the camera differences, he went with the Max model. And as it turns out, the camera was actually quite disappointing. So before I get into those problems, let's start with problem number one. First off, one of the biggest problems is the lack of a 120Hz display. Since so many other premium flagship phones already have high refresh rate displays, even mid-range phones these days have higher than 60Hz refresh rates. The OnePlus 7 Pro was released almost 2 years ago at a $669 price tag, and it comes with a 90Hz display. It's embarrassing that we're about to enter into 2021 and Apple doesn't at least have a 90Hz display on their $1,100 flagship iPhone, so that's definitely a problem. But thankfully, rumors are pointing to next year's Pro models getting 120Hz refresh rates. Now getting into problem number two, it has to do with the new square sides. While we absolutely love them because they make the phone feel new, unique, and they help with grip in the hand, there are definitely some problems with the new sides. First off, they make the iPhone 12s look very thick, despite actually being thinner this year. Because of those square edges, the Pro Max kind of digs into your hand while you're using it one-handed, so you can't reach as far up on the display as with the iPhone 11s. And it's also less comfortable if you're holding it in landscape mode since it can dig into your pinky, so it can be pretty annoying if you're holding it like that for an extended period of time. On top of that, the new flat sides show fingerprints much more easily than before. This is a B-roll shot of my iPhone without cleaning it off or intentionally adding fingerprints. It's like this all the time, so I've noticed that I spend more time than ever before trying to keep it clean. Moving on to problem number three, it really sucks that we no longer get a charger in the box. The missing headphones I don't really care for because I usually leave them in the box, but as for the charging brick, I was really excited to get one, and since the current bricks from Apple use USB-C, I could have actually used it for charging other USB-C devices. So it sucks that Apple will no longer be shipping out any more charging bricks. And now let's finally get into the cameras with problem number four. Something unique this year is that the telephoto lens on the 12 Pro Max finally has a longer optical zoom range, 2.5 times instead of 2 times on the regular Pro. This was actually one of the reasons why Max chose to get the Max model instead. However, there are definitely multiple problems with it. First off, to make the longer zoom possible, the aperture was downgraded from f2.0 to f2.2, which basically takes in less light. Because of that, the quality of zoom shots is actually worse on the Pro Max, which completely ruins the point of the longer telephoto zoom lens. On top of that, night mode telephoto shots take longer because it needs more time to collect light compared to the regular Pro. And taking it even further, more zoomed in shots are harder to stabilize, also adding to the time it takes to take a night mode shot. I also feel like telephoto portrait shots are less convenient because of the extra zoom, forcing you to move back further to get the subject in frame. So because of all of that, I found myself always just using the regular wide camera for portrait shots, and it shouldn't be like that. And even for daytime photos, I struggle to find an improvement in quality between the 12 Pro's maximum 10x zoom and the 12 Pro Max's 12x zoom. Now, it's not just the telephoto lens that's different on the Pro Max. Apple also made a huge deal about the sensor on the wide camera being 47% larger than on the Pro. So this brings us into problem number 5. Apple said that the Pro Max gives you 87% better low light photos, But when I compared them, I honestly didn't see that big of a difference. And for night mode shots, it does help, but it's not that big of a deal. The biggest difference I noticed was that night mode shots take a shorter amount of time to take the photo, which is very convenient since you don't have to wait as long, but in terms of quality, it was hard to tell a difference. Now, when you're taking photos with the wide camera during the daytime, it is extremely difficult to notice any difference at all. On top of that, the Pro Max gets the new sensor shift optical stabilization, which does an excellent job, but the 12 Pro also does a great job at stabilization, and to the average person, they probably wouldn't notice the difference. Taking it even further, we've noticed that the Pro Max's wide camera is much worse in terms of the minimum focusing distance. The regular Pro can focus much closer to the subject, and because of that, the bokeh in the background actually looks bigger for macro shots. Now, problem number 6 is one that really annoys me, and that is lens flare while shooting photos or videos at night. Check out this video recorded on the 12 Pro Max. As you can see, the lights are reflecting off of the lens itself and causing really bad flaring. This is extremely distracting when trying to record a video of lights like this, or maybe something like a Christmas light show. An $1,100 iPhone shouldn't be having this big of a problem. Now, this also happens for photos, like this one of my son in front of the fireplace. There is a really distracting flare from the fire that's positioned right in front of him, and it kind of ruins the photo. This is actually a much bigger issue on the 12 Pro Max specifically because the camera lenses are much larger and the lens glass itself sticks out further than the exterior metal rings, which causes light to reflect off of them. So in this comparison, you can see how the Pro Max is worse than the other models. So it's definitely been causing problems over the past month. Moving on to problem number 7, it has to do with MagSafe and MagSafe accessories. When we first got the MagSafe wallet and tested it out on the iPhone 12 Pro, it worked pretty well, and we didn't really notice much issues with it being bumped out of place or falling off when putting it into your pocket. However, with the 12 Pro Max, the wallet is noticeably worse, and I think it's because there is extra dead space on the back of the iPhone, so there's more room for it to move around and get knocked out of place. We actually confirmed that theory by using the wallet with the iPhone 12 mini, where the edges of the wallet are perfectly flush with the sides of the mini, and because of that, it's extremely hard to accidentally bump the wallet out of place because your hand is supporting it from the other side. So the wallet experience is by far the worst on the Pro Max, which is very disappointing. Now, the MagSafe problems don't end there. Apple's new MagSafe charger is problem number 8. For $40, it's simply not worth it at all. Yes, it's convenient that it attaches magnetically, but the charging speed is unbearably slow. Max made a crazy detailed charging comparison video, and he found that even with the new 20-watt USB-C charging brick, MagSafe was only 15 minutes faster than the old 5-watt charging brick when charging from 0 to 100%. Yes, it was quite a bit faster in the beginning of the test, but when you hear 15-watt MagSafe fast charging, you'd expect it to be just a little bit slower than the 20-watt cable charging, but that ended up finishing the test a full hour sooner than MagSafe. So in my personal opinion, the MagSafe charger is a problem because it charges way slower than Apple is leading people to believe. Now, for mistake number 9, it has to do with overheating. The new iPhone 12s come with the latest A14 Bionic chip, which is made using TSMC's brand new 5nm technology, which is super efficient. However, Max was doing some Call of Duty mobile gaming in a very bright barber shop, so the display brightness automatically brightened up, and he noticed that after just 10 minutes, the display dimmed because of overheating. This is an issue because the 5nm chip is supposed to be more efficient and it's supposed to run more cool. So we thought that we'd no longer have these overheating issues ever again, but that's not the case. Other phone manufacturers like Samsung have been implementing cooling solutions like a built-in vapor chamber to reduce overheating problems, but Apple doesn't seem to care, so it's a bit annoying when you have to deal with these issues on such an expensive flagship phone. And finally, let's get into problem number 10. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is still using the Lightning port, and we're honestly getting a bit sick of it. While every other device on the market is moving over to the USB-C port, Apple refuses to switch. If the iPhone had a USB-C port, everything from file transfers to charging would be much more convenient. I'd love to be able to grab my MacBook charging cable and quickly charge up my iPhone, but I can't because it uses Lightning. And now, even the iPad Air 4 uses USB-C, but not the iPhone, which is starting to get very annoying because we now know just how much better USB-C is than Lightning in basically every way. So with all of those 10 problems out of the way, my final conclusion or advice is that if you are thinking about going for the 12 Pro Max model, maybe for the extra camera improvements, it's really not worth it. In reality, the camera differences weren't that big, so if you were thinking about getting the regular 6.1-inch 12 Pro model, go for it. So there you guys have it. That was our top 10 problems with the iPhone 12 Pro Max after a full month of use. So if you agree or disagree with any of those, please comment your thoughts down below and click the circle above to subscribe for our full iPhone 12 Pro Max review that's coming very soon. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.